Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Manage the Wild. I'm your host, Nick Madsen. Today, I peed on myself. I'll give you the backstory, but yes, I did pee on myself. So, for the last little bit, we've started to get some depredation. Deer are eating wheat or trampling the wheat as it's starting to germinate. That spring green up that I've talked about, where the deer will migrate up in elevation as things green up. Well, the challenge we have here in Utah right now is we're in that in between season, between winter, between spring, and you're getting a little bit of green up, and then it gets covered by a new snowstorm, and then it'll melt, and the deer come back, and then it'll snow, and so there's just some problems. So I'm working with some landowners that are facing some depredation. So the area that I'm doing the depredation, what we're planning on doing is hazing these deer off of there. It's myself, the biologist, and the landowner. We are hazing the deer. We'll go a couple of times a day just to keep the deer off. And one of the concerns is trampling. As the deer come onto the property, are they pushing the seeds down in further and they're not going to germinate? That's some of the concerns. The other is obviously they are eating that little bit of green up because that's the only thing that's green in the area. So for the next few weeks, I'm going to this property and we're hazing these deer out. Hazing generally means yelling at them or shooting off cracker shells, shells that have a firework that as soon as you fire it, it'll come out of your barrel, land, and poof, blow up. The other is we use shotgun shells because they're cheap. We're not actually shooting at the animals, but if we did, we're at distances where it wouldn't hurt. But obviously, I'm not shooting at them. Again, it's more noise dispersal. And then in some situations, they've used drones. I'm currently not using it in this situation, but I've been going every couple of days and hazing these deer off out of that winter wheat. Some of the challenges that you face with depredation like this is the amount of animals, because obviously they haven't migrated up and they are in their winter feeding areas. And so there's a lot. When I first went, there was roughly 50 head. Today, when I shot off some cracker shells and some shotgun shells, got the deer moving, look out, and I started to count because I'm required to keep a detailed account of what actually happens. And I ended up counting 107 mule deer on the property. But there was more than that because the rest topped over the ridge and I was unable to get a good count of those ones. But there was 107 in there. That's a lot of trampling, especially when they're in a confined area. It doesn't take very much. We don't know what the damage is for trampling. I've gone on Google Scholar. I've talked to a bunch of other people. They have no idea how to assess damage for trampling. We're working with some colleges because this is becoming more and more problematic. We're working with colleges to see if we can come up with a way to assess that damage. So today I go out there and it's snowing and real light snow, more kind of a sleet, but I drive, it's about 50 miles away from where I live. So I have to drive out there 50 miles and then I'll sit and haze for a period of time. Go back every half hour or so, check to see which animals, if any animals came back or not. So I drive out there and there is an exit on the freeway that just exits into fields and there's nobody around. And so I've just driven 50 miles. I drink a lot of water because I gave up Diet Dr. Pepper. So now I drink a lot of water to replace that, which makes my wife happy. So I get out and I was going to go use the restroom. And then I decided that I would open the doors because every once in a while a truck will pull off and they'll have to do the same thing. So I didn't want to be in the middle of using the restroom and get caught because that doesn't ever look good. So I open up both the doors on my truck. I'm standing on the passenger side. There's two doors and I'm standing in between the two doors and I'm using the restroom. Out of the corner of my eye, I see this thing come flying out of the field. It's yellow or white and it comes running right at me and it dives under the door And I'm so terrified because I have my pants down. I'm using the bathroom, and I jump in my truck to get away from this thing, and I'm peeing all over the place. I had that big Adam Sandler size plate right in the middle of my crotch, and this yellow lab comes flying out from underneath the door and tries to get in my truck. I have no idea where the yellow lab came from. There isn't a house for a long time. There's a bunch of different barns out there in this area, mostly to keep equipment in, but nobody actually lives there. I have no idea where this yellow lab came. But as I'm laying in the truck, I'm trying to push it away. It's trying to get in. Finally, it runs down the road just a little bit and sits down and just stares at me. But I was absolutely terrified. I had no idea what was coming after me. All I know is I saw something, and then next thing I know, it's underneath the door coming up at me while I'm peeing. Had a similar situation happen with another person. We were out again hazing at night, summer depredation, keeping these deer off of alfalfa. And me and my boss were walking out into the field because the deer were at the far end and we wanted to haze them. And as we're coming, we've got these little headlamps and we can see something coming right at us, bobbing. So I immediately pull up my shotgun because I thought it was a coyote, and it ended up being the rancher's dog. But he came within like 5 seconds of getting shot. I was terrified. I just thought it was some zombie dog that was coming after us. And so it's like all these crazy stories happen to me when I'm dealing with depredation issues. So, yes, I peed on myself. Yes, I'm apparently afraid of yellow labs. You guys have a great day. Stay wild.